Saturday's Meadowlands Pace Night at the Meadowlands Racetrack with a 6:20 post time. 14 races on the card, including the Pace, which is one of 11 stakes races. There's a $50,000 guaranteed pick four starting in race four, a $100,000 one in race number 8. But we're going to focus all of our attention on the $656,000 Meadowlands Pace. And Jay, we put together a pretty good field, even if we lost one of them.
I think it's probably a better situation for gamblers. Just the fact that Blueprint probably would be an overwhelming favorite had he been in the race, but since he's been withdrawn, it's wide open. And especially with some good horses on the outside, I think it stems to be a pretty interesting race.
Well, the 5-2 favorite now that Blueprint's gone is Madden Oaks, and Madden Oaks raced a huge race in the North America Cup against Blueprint. We're going to take a look at that video, and he ends up finishing second by, only a head here, Jay.
Just a ballsy move by a young driver to leave out of it from post 10, and he stunned a lot of people, put himself in a great position. Blueprint took a lot of abuse in the race and was dead game, but Madden Oaks, obviously, the thing about Madden Oaks in this race is that, you don't see what he did the week before, which is almost as impressive. So, 2 straight races where Madden Oaks really distinguished himself with the elite 3-year-olds.
Now with Blueprint out of this field and, looking at 9 horses, do you see this as a situation where Madden Oaks is got to leave? Like he's definitely going to be gunning out again?
I find it interesting because, people don't realize in Woodbine Mohawk, where the North America Cup was contested, is a long straight to the first turn. And it's not as risky a move making that quick start because you can clear before the turn. I think at the Meadowlands with, after what the North America Cup was, I think now every driver has been put on notice that this horse can leave. Don't just let him out there. So I think even if, a situation where Braxton Boyd wants to leave hard with Madden Oaks, I think it's going to be a much more difficult trip for him to try to get the lead.
Of these 9 horses in this race, 6 of these horses coming out of a pace preview, which is a $30,000 race, obviously a lot less than the $656,000. So I don't know how much we take away from it, but why don't we look at the recap of the replay of the pace preview here? That's going to end up being won by Poppy's Pistol, who's just sitting along the rail, kind of gapping, but really charged home in 25 and change.
Well, I think charged home is relative considering the slow pace, and I think the takeaways here were Captain Optimistic was less than inspiring horse that we actually thought was a top contender here. We don't know after watching this race, but Poppy's Pistol, obviously an opportunistic horse, has ability and showed that in Canada with a 148 mile, and again here, and picks up a new driver. And Dave Miller's had some success in big races.
Captain Optimistic was on the lead there, kind of tired. It was an uninspiring effort. Maybe he's just better from off the pace. Though last year he went on the pace. Is there anything we could take away from that to make us think like, hey, this horse is going to be much better this week?
I think you can take one thing away is that he needed a race. I think that's the obvious point. He needed a race. Had Blueprint been in this race, you'd say he's not up to Blueprint's, ability, just given what Blueprint has done and what Captain Optimistic has done. But, given the fact that he's got Dexter Dunn, given the fact that Nancy Tactor has done a fabulous job over her career getting horses ready for this specific race, I think he's a contender even if he doesn't look good on paper.
Another one of the main contenders listed at 7-2 on the morning line is Prince Hal Hanover. He skipped that prep race and instead decided to race up in Canada. We're going to take a look at that replay where he was on an open lead here, Jay, set big fractions and ends up getting caught at the wire by a pretty good horse.
I don't think there's any disgrace in this. I think it's clear from watching the video and even watching the race live, they were on a mission. They were on a mission to get this horse tight for a race the following week. And obviously, if he could have won the race, it would have been better for those who bet on him last week. But as far as being ready for this race, I don't think there's a horse in the race who is as ready as Prince Hal Hanover. And also, here's a horse that he changes drivers to Todd McCarthy, which I think is rather significant. I think, he had post 9 in North America Cup, didn't leave the gate and was 10th at the quarter and 10th around the track, which obviously I'm sure the owners of the horse were really not that happy about the lack of a chance in that race. So I think with Todd McCarthy and a better post and the prep, I mean, I think everything is pointing in his direction for this race.
Is there any scenario where Prince Hal Hanover isn't on the lead or at worst in the pocket?
I can't see it. I can't see it because, Todd McCarthy, we've only seen him here for the last few years, but, he's just always on his game, and he's on his game in big races. And you're giving him a horse here that he's got a good spot. He's got speed. I mean, I don't think the horse has to be on the lead, but I think he has the ability to be on the lead. And, just a question of not overworking yourself to be in that position.
We have Poppy's Rocket, Knockout Round, Joel and the Jets, Manolette, all over 10-1 on the morning line here. Can you see any of them getting into the number somewhere in the trifecta or anything?
It's one of those things where you think there's going to be a hot pace. I don't know that there's enough horses in here to generate a hot pace. I don't know that there's, I think there's some bit players. I mean, I think, they'd all like to be close, but I don't think any of them want to overwork themselves to get close. And, I mean, I think, you need a worst case scenario for a long shot. And I'm not thinking it's going to happen here.
Well, we're going to take a look at what we picked in this field. And, I think we kind of see this race kind of similarly, Jay. And, for me, I think Prince Hal Hanover is going to be in the perfect spot. And, he, at worst case, be in the pocket. But I think he might just try to say, you know what, catch me if you can here.
I see him in the pocket behind Madden Oaks. I see Madden Oaks having no choice but to go to the lead here. And I don't think, I think you'd have to say Braxton Boyd has ultimate confidence in this horse, having raced on the biggest stages and the horse has really showed up. He's got post 9. He doesn't have to worry about Blueprint. If he doesn't have to worry about Blueprint, then why would he be taking, any kind of measures to be, to finesse it? I mean, that's, and again, some drivers can finesse it, but I don't know that Braxton Boyd is in a position to think he can finesse it against the drivers he's up against, even if he thinks he has the best horse. Dexter Dunn finessing it, I could see that, but not Braxton Boyd. I think he's got to go a full tilt, and I think he'll get the respect. I mean, I think he's earned the respect, so I think he'll be there. And I don't think it's going to be a lot of movement. I think those horses are going to be clearly in the front.
Well, we're both looking at Prince Hal Hanover, in the top spot here. And, it should be an interesting race, one of 14 on the card. We have free PPs and a 5% rebate on Win and Exacta. If you want to check out any of that stuff, you could, check out the QR code that's on your screen, and that'll take you right to those free PPs. It'll also take you to this video. So that's pretty cool as well. Jay, is there anything else on the card you're looking forward to of the 14 races?
I like the second division of the Houghton with a horse called Maximus Mickey. I think he's coming into the race off a bad line, which some people look at it as a bad line, but I thought he got used pretty well, and they went a solid 3/4. Well, we had a good enough reason to get a little tired after 123 quarters. So I kind of think he's in the weaker of the two divisions. He's got an outside draw, but I think he's going to be good value.
Well, we got some Meadowlands Pace talk and a bonus spot play. It's going to be a great night for racing. 6:20 post time at the Meadowlands. I'm sure I'll see you all there. Good luck.